WOLFS, starring George Clooney and Brad Pitt, is getting a curiously unceremonious release considering the talent involved. There was a time when Brad Pitt and George Clooney doing a buddy action movie together would have been an event, and the movie's pretty good to boot. Yet, WOLFS, which comes from director John Watts, who made the Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy for the MCU, is getting a quiet one-week theatrical run before its debut on Apple TV Plus on September 27th. It's playing on precisely one screen here in Montreal and was not screened for critics. So what's going on here? Probably Apple is still licking its wounds from the embarrassing failure of their mega-budget movies Argylle and Fly Me to the Moon, which, despite huge A-list casts, cratered at the box office. Their debuts on Apple TV were met with indifference, as both films have the reputation of being flops, and Apple likely didn't want that to happen with Wolves, as this is part of a planned franchise for them. It's too big to fail if you want to get into cliches. Yet it says something when a movie starring Brad Pitt and George Clooney can't be relied on to deliver big box office, especially given that it's an action comedy, which isn't exactly a tough genre to sell. The premise here is good, even if it would be a huge stretch to call it original. Likely everyone hearing this will remember Harvey Keitel playing Winston Wolfe in Pulp Fiction, the guy you need to call to get rid of a body. That's exactly the service both Pitt and Clooney's characters perform here, with the title WOLFS being a nod to Quentin Tarantino's films, apropos given that they both come from that world. Pitt, of course, is a regular in his movies, while Clooney played his brother in From Dusk Till Dawn. Both actors played to their strengths here. They're famous for playing cool and collected, albeit with human touches and a sardonic sense of humor. This served them well in the Ocean's trilogy, and WOLFS is very much in that same vein, albeit with a bit of a harder edge. Like those two movies, this is a crime caper, but Watts has an R rating to play with, meaning lots of F-bombs and some violence. The stakes in this are deadlier than the Ocean's films, with the two fixers called in to dispose of a dead body a wannabe district attorney, played by Amy Ryan, has inadvertently ended up with after a one-night stand gone awry. Of course, the guy they're getting rid of, played by Austin Abrams, isn't quite dead and happens to be in the possession of $250,000 worth of heroin that's been stolen from the Albanian mob. Clooney and Pitt have always had good chemistry, and the film is totally built around this aspect. They're supposed to hate each other, but the bromance gradually builds between the two of them, and it's palpable, building up to a legitimately great finale that calls to mind Newman and Redford in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Working with the streamer gives Watts more leverage to make this more adult than the Ocean's movies were, as a PG-13 rating does not shackle him this time. Both Clooney and Pitt have fun with their advancing ages, with them having similar bad backs and sharing a bottle of Advil at one point. It also has some great needle drops, with Clooney's character a fan of Sade, plus a little Phil Collins on the soundtrack never hurt anyone. While it's a shame that a movie like WOLFS can no longer be assured of a major release, it will likely find an audience on Apple TV+. It's far from the best that either Pitt or Clooney has ever done, but if you look at their combined filmographies, that's to be expected. This is the two of them having fun, and with a contained setting, it's a great hangout flick. Watching the two of them do their thing together has always been a blast, and WOLFS is their best as a combo since the original Ocean's 11, and I give it a very fun 8 out of 10.